Hi, I'm Dara Dietz. Today I want to spend a little time talking about female issues. What we can do naturally to support female health, balance the hormones, and clear up issues in the body, starting from teenage girls and the emotional ups and downs from the hormonal shifts when the cycle begins, to how to maintain hormonal balance as we move through life and on through menopause. There are herbs in nature and supports that we have that will balance and provide stability for the female condition. There is no reason to have to use the dangerous cancer-causing drugs and hormones that westernized medicine provides. The support that is available through natural means is adequate and works very well. I've seen this in my own body and in countless of women that I have helped through the years. My own testimony was pretty dramatic. My cycles began in the 5th grade, and the monthly cycle of pain was horrible. I continued to have horrible cramps and bleeding up until my 30s, when I discovered the hormonal supports. By then I was in perimenopause, my hair was beginning to fall out, and the monthly cycles, the emotional ups and downs were just horrible. Getting balanced, finding the hormonal supports that balanced these issues was wonderful. I stopped having the monthly pain and discomfort and began to be normal, to be able to live through the whole month without knowing that there would be a week each month when I would become incapacitated. The teenagers, the young girls with their emotional shifts and the monthly fluxes that are not very regular, these can be supported with a good female formula. The one I've always preferred has an excellent combination of herbal aids that have been used for thousands of years to support women and to keep us balanced. Wild yam is excellent. It is a source of progesterone, natural source of progesterone, which will aid in regulating the cycle and in keeping a good monthly flux that is regulated and not too heavy. The chase tree berry, dong quai root, damiana leaf, licorice root, and hops flowers work in combination with these female support herbs to get a good balance of the female hormones. This is a basic female formula that can be used indefinitely by women right on through menopause. It keeps us young, keeps the skin from becoming thin, keeps our libido up so that we continue to enjoy this wonderful part of life. The normal dose that I have seen for almost all women is 1.5 teaspoons a day of the female formula. This can normally be taken one time a day in the morning, and it doesn't need to be spread out throughout the day unless you are dealing with menopausal issues, hot flashes, things like this. In that case, you would want to take the lion's share of the dose a couple hours before the bad time of day. So if you have night sweats or afternoon hot flashes, things like this, You would want to take maybe a teaspoon of your dose mid-afternoon or just before bedtime, depending on when the issues come. The half a teaspoon can be taken first thing in the morning. Just spread your dose out throughout the day to keep you balanced when you need this. Otherwise, it can be taken once a day, first thing in the morning or mid-morning, whenever you prefer. And your 1.5 teaspoons a day is all you need. Over the years, I've used several different female combinations for different issues. Amenorrhea, the female weakness, where the woman is no longer having a cycle but is young enough to where she has not gone through menopause. The system has become weak and no longer is fluxing on a regular basis. This combination of herbs for this formula: motherwort herb, chamomile, blue cohosh, golden seal root, ginger root. This combination will help strengthen the female system and allow the cycle to begin again. I've seen this combination of herbals work beautifully to bring back a cycle. One woman I worked with hadn't had a cycle in over 10 years. She'd experienced some trauma that had ended her cycle, and it was 10 years before she discovered the herbal formulas and began using them. She wanted to get married and have children, and knew that she would not be able to until she was able to restart her cycles again. The formula worked beautifully, and she is doing very well. For issues where there is extreme bleeding, quite often fibroids may be an issue in this. But regardless, when the bleeding is extreme and extended, the female formula can be used to actually stop the cycle. The wild yam, the progesterone, will stop a cycle when it needs to be ended without having to use the birth control pills and other more dangerous forms of hormonal support that can end up in causing cancer and tumors and things in the body. The wild yam has absolutely no side effects that would be detrimental or dangerous to the woman, and yet we can use it to stop the flow when it has gone on too long. The flow, we don't want to suppress it completely. It is a cleansing. It is something that needs to happen. But when it has gone on past the 5 to 7 days that it needs to be, it needs to stop. The way that I have seen best is to use the female formula, a good combination, the female formula with the progesterone, the wild yam. When I was in menopause and my cycle was skipping 1 year, I only had a cycle every 3 months there towards the end. And when it would come back, it was just gangbusters. It wanted to make up for the months that it had missed. I began using the female formula, a tablespoon of it, once or twice a day, and in 5 days I had the cycle stopped. I continued to use a higher dose for 2 or 3 days longer just to build a good hormonal wall up against breakthrough bleeding happening again. Then I went back to my regular 1.5 teaspoons a day dosage. This worked beautifully and stopped the bleeding. When it came on like that, I began using it immediately when the bleeding started because it was so heavy. And I was experiencing an emotional free fall. I could just see myself emotionally crumpling with the hormonal shift that was happening. It was such a radical shift. After not having a cycle for 3 months, the shifting of the hormones that needed to occur to make it happen emotionally affected me to the place where I was just an emotional ball of goo. the female formula, using that was very supportive emotionally, as well as getting the physical bleeding under control. Within just a few hours, it had slowed way down, and in 5 days it ended normally. Normally, you do not want to use the female formula while you are menstruating. You stop when your cycle begins, and you do not begin it again for the 5 to 7 days until your cycle has ended. This is not necessary when you are using it to control excess bleeding. With the excess bleeding, you can begin using it while you are bleeding to get that under control. When a woman begins using the hormonal supports for the first time, I've noticed a cycle that each one tends to have. It doesn't happen again after she has used them the first time, even if she ceases using the formulas for several years and comes back to them. This seems to be only the first time that you use the female herbal supports, the female formula with the wild yam. The first month, the first 30 days when your cycle comes, it will tend to be, if there was heavy bleeding or painful issues, things like this, those may very likely be less and be more under control when the first cycle comes. The second cycle, the second 60 days after you begin using it, the second monthly cycle will tend to not be there. You will not bleed the second month. Then the third month, when your cycle begins again, it will be normal with a good flux and within normal range of the bleeding. The cramping and all of this is usually much more controlled, if not completely gone. If there is still cramping and things like that kind of discomfort involved, lobelia or cramp bark is excellent at relaxing those muscles, the uterus, and just allowing the uterus to relax so that the cramping will stop. One thing to remember, and young girls need to remember this, is you do not want to get chilled during the month. When, let's say, you sit on cement that does not warm up to the body, that cold is going to seep up into the uterus, cause it to contract, and when your cycle comes, it's going to spasm, and there's going to be a lot of cramping. It is important for a woman not to become chilled, not to become cold. The uterus will contract, and then there will be excess cramping and discomfort during the cycle. Sitting on grass or dirt where your body can warm it up is not a problem. It's cement that does not absorb the warmth and give it back to you well. It just seems to pull it from your body and then allow you to become chilled. So don't sit on cement or on anything cold, rocks, anything that your body cannot warm up easily. Use a pillow or a blanket or something to sit on if you're out and about and are going to be sitting on the ground and you cannot sit on grass or dirt. Put something under you so that you stay warm. An excellent aid for teenage girls that are just coming into their cycles and their body is having to produce all of these hormones, the hormonal material, to keep them balanced and functioning well. Their food program is very important. You need to make sure that you cut out all sugar. No sugar. This just absolutely destroys the hormone levels in the body. When you consume a candy bar, it will coat the immune system and just shut your immune system down for anywhere from 4 to 24 hours. you will have no immune system. You will be susceptible to whatever's out there. Sugar, table sugar. I'm not talking honey, maple syrup, the good stuff. We're talking table sugar. Is very detrimental to the body. It is a poison. And for young girls that are just coming into their cycles, they need all of the hormonal support. Their immune system needs to be up and running. They do not need the sugar, the cheap carbs. Drinking freely of red raspberry leaf tea and blessed thistle tea is very helpful for building this. This can take the place of sodas, Kool-Aid, whatever you're drinking. Just keep a pitcher of red raspberry leaf tea or blessed thistle tea in the refrigerator. It can be sweetened with maple syrup or honey if needed. It is excellent and it tastes pretty good. It's not bad tasting at all. And this can be drunk freely by the girls. You can also use it as a hot tea. Just make yourself a hot cup of tea with the herbs and enjoy that. But drink 2 or 3 cups of these a day and drink it freely. This will be an excellent aid for providing the raw material for the body to make the extra hormones that are needed at this time. A cup of hot ginger tea is also excellent for suppressed menstruation. This has been known to work by itself when the period is suppressed. It's also wonderful with a little black cohosh to stop menstrual cramps. Adding a little black cohosh to the ginger tea will often just end the menstrual cramps. It's very warming and very comforting.